1 month after the shooting, on March 14th, 2018, my high school, along with 2,000 others, participated in a national walkout. We stood in solidarity for 17 minutes. We did not chant. We did not yell. We did not blame. March 14th was not about change. March 14th was about grief.
At 2:19 in the afternoon, former Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School student Nicholas Cruz exited an Uber. The alumni entered the freshman building, but instead of reflecting in retrospect on his past experiences there, 19-year-old Nicholas Cruz entered with an AR-15 rifle and created one of the deadliest massacres our generation has ever seen occur within the walls of a school.
How many children have to die? How many parents have to cry over their sons, daughters, husbands, wives before we realize that it is the bullet that does the harm? Well, times have changed. It's a cliche, but we have the voice and we have the weight, so stop listening when they say too young. Because if we are old enough to be risked lives, then we are old enough to strive. Thank you.
You aren't allowed to drive military tanks down the highway. So why am I, a 17-year-old girl, allowed to go to a gun show and legitimately purchase a real weapon of war? It doesn't make sense. It is time to stand up, because if we don't, then nothing will change. The entirety of our lives have been filled with destruction and violence, and it cannot continue. I cannot continue to live in the world we've allowed ourselves to settle for.
The only gun control laws we have in the state are federally enforced. Anyone could walk onto school grounds with a gun, and law enforcement wouldn't be able to do anything about it. In fact, just this week, on Wednesday, our state Senate voted down SB 357, a bill that would have improved school safety. Every single Republican senator voted against this bill, and Governor Sununu did not help at all. Every single gun control bill that has been introduced has been voted down by our politicians. They don't seem to care about us, our safety, or our futures, and we're sick of it. Remember this on voting day.
Vote them out! Vote them out! Vote them out!
Following the Sandy Hook shooting, our legislation proposed the assault weapons ban of 2013 and the Mansion Toomey Amendment to expand background checks on gun purchases. Both were defeated in the Senate.
I am sick of hearing that compromise is too difficult. As a legislator, your job is to compromise. Your job is to work together to create bipartisan legislation. Your job is to use the power that the citizens of this country gave to you when they elected you. Your job is to take action. So take action or get the hell out. Because I refuse to accept that this is the best our country could do. Thank you.
I stand here in front of you all as a black teenager similar to that of Trayvon Martin, with the opportunity to recite the names of those fallen victim to gun violence, whether their fate may have been dealt by the hand of a off-duty neighborhood watchman or a culturally disconnected police officer stationed in an inner-city neighborhood charged by his or her own prejudices. But similar to that of Trayvon Martin, most of you have heard these names and their stories already. With that, I form a question to myself. What can you tell a generation, a group, that thinks that they know it all? I mean, I guess I'll tell them something they don't know. Out of the 372 mass shootings of 2015, the deadliest year for such as of now, 2/3 of the incident were allegedly due to both gang-related intent and drug and alcohol abuse alike. And with minimal ambition to discredit any other point of view, I would be remiss if I left out the fact that roughly 3/4 of victims identified were black. And without truly addressing the problem where it prevails, we will be unable to work towards ridding of it. Now, before I go, I'd like to end with this. Evidence goes to show that not only a number of our law enforcement, but our elected officials as well remain dormant and nearly blind to the fact that the violence in America solely stems from the negligence towards gun control security. More so, the lack of effort that is put into effect by Congress to tighten aspects within, like a thorough background check. And this forms another apparent question in my head. If these two major groups that serve as liabilities in our daily way of life, including our own safety, are unable to deliver, then who do we trust? And one more thing. I know that the fight against stronger gun control costs millions of dollars, but I want you all to remember, peace doesn't cost a thing. Thank you.
The other so-called solution that I have a real problem with is the idea of arming teachers. I come from a family of teachers. My mother is a teacher, my sister is a teacher, my grandfather was a teacher, and my grandmother was a teacher. I know the work that teachers put into their jobs on a daily basis, and I know how much they care about their students. I have seen my own mother and other teachers, countless other teachers, go above and beyond to meet their students' needs. We already ask our teachers to act as counselors, as social workers, and as mentors, and we famously underpay them for this. No matter the training a teacher may have to begin with, it is fundamentally unfair to add bodyguard to this list. I want my teachers to help me with my math and grade my homework, not take a bullet for me. And yes, we want to find ways to protect children and the teachers who care for them in our schools. But the solutions that involve Band-Aid treatments for the gaping holes in our nation's gun policies are not enough. These solutions of allowing guns to continue to be carried into our schools, telling children who survived school shootings that it was their fault for not being nice enough to the classmates or full-grown adults who gunned them down, and telling teachers who initially chose a career meant to help children grow and learn that they need to become the armed guards at the doors of their classrooms. All of these are not enough. And so at this point, I don't think we're asking for much when we ask for common sense gun control. But for whatever reason, many, many people are without common sense. So we have to demand action. We have to call and write our legislators and tell them what we want. And if they don't listen to them, we have to vote ones who will. And we have to make sure that we are being heard when we are saying enough is enough.
Enough is enough! 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 Enough is enough!
I challenge everyone here today, especially students, to write a letter to the editor speaking your mind. Let your voice be heard, and then use that to motivate you to approach your representatives and speak your mind to them face to face. We want representatives and senators that actually represent who we are. So vote!
End gun violence! No more silence! End gun violence! No silence! This is what democracy looks like! This is what democracy
But remember, this is not the end, this is only the beginning.
Lisa!